Welcome to Sewing Parts Online, the family-owned business that has been providing quality sewing machines since 2008. Our mission is to help you bring your creative visions to life, and we believe that starts with having the right sewing machine. Quilting, embroidery, serging, crafting, Sewing Parts Online has got you covered. You supply the creativity, we supply the sewing machines. $45,000 worth of sewing supplies. During our live streams last year, we gave away over 10 sewing machines.
That's right, including two $8,000 sergers.
That's right, sewing furniture as well.
$5,000 worth of fabric.
And a boatload of thread and notions.
All the winners had to do was watch and comment.
This year we have 6 events planned. So if you want to be part of the fun in 2023,
like this video and follow us on all our socials.
Plus, share this video and spread the joy.
The larger we can make these events, the more prizes we can give away.
Who knows?
If we get enough people to join our live stream,
we might be able to give out twice as many prizes. See you soon. Welcome to the Social Circle. My name is Trisha. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Wednesday. I've seen some comments coming through. I see some familiar names. I can't wait to say good morning to everybody. Today, we are going to be doing a really fun project. We are going to be making this quick Corky wallet. So why don't we start off the day? Brian, do you want to pop on and say hi?
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I was trying to figure out my screen. Hold on, let me unmute myself. Okay, you should be able to hear me now. It's good to see everybody. I missed y'all last week. I wasn't here because I was at school registering for next semester. I was very sad to miss the project, but I'm very happy to be here today.
People were worried that you were sick last week, Brian, so we reassured them that you were out doing awesome stuff.
Ironically, I'm here today and I'm feeling a little sick, but that's okay. I'm just going to power through it. I've just got some sinus stuff like everybody right now.
Yeah. I was out at the motorcycle track this last weekend and all the pollen and everything, I'm also feeling a little funky. So I don't know if it's allergies or what, but yeah.
Something's going on.
We'll power through it.
Yes.
But hey, you did something fun, right?
Yesterday. Yeah. So I had to do some adulting in the morning, so I took the day off. And then after I finished with my adulting, I went to the National Quilt Museum in Paducah, Kentucky with my friend Deb Porter, who is running a little late because she had to run to the store to get some cork fabric, but she should be joining us.
She's saying hello all. I see Deb right there. Good morning, Deb.
So we went to the National Quilt Museum in Paducah, Kentucky, and if you have never been, if you are in the area, I highly recommend checking it out. It is well worth the drive. I took some pictures and video that I haven't uploaded yet. If I get them uploaded while Trish is doing the project, I'll show them at the end. But we went to QuiltCon a little earlier this year, and I was so blown away by the quilts there. And that's put on by the Modern Quilt Guild. So those were like modern quilts. This museum had modern quilts, but there was a lot of traditional quilts there. And I could not believe just the amount of detail and thought. There was this one quilt that I was standing in front of for like 10 minutes. And every time I looked somewhere different, I noticed something new. And it really invigorated my passion for the art. I think quilting is so amazing. So if you are within driving distance of Paducah, Kentucky, definitely make it a priority to get there at some point.
Yeah, Brian shared those pictures with Alex and I, and they're pretty amazing. So if for some reason he's not able to show them during the stream, we'll share it on our Facebook page. Speaking of Facebook, we have 2 different pages. We have our main page and then we have our Facebook group. There's a streaming issue going on with the main page, so it's not going to be shown there. However, you can still see it on our Facebook group or obviously YouTube. So if you got disconnected or can't find us, just scooch on over to the other platform. So why don't we say good morning to a few of our friends? I see some familiar names. You want to pop those up? Chris, good morning from Florida. Welcome back. Tammy, I've been enjoying all your comments on our Facebook group, so thank you for that. Welcome, welcome. Sir Robin the Chicken, I know who you are. Stabby tool. That made me laugh so much. So thank you, Robert, for joining us again. And I'm going to be calling this a stabby tool from now on. Who else do we have today? Corrine, good morning from Trinidad. That's awesome. Helen, Oklahoma, thank you. Norma, it's always good to see you. Deborah, I love seeing you guys. This is so wonderful. Thank you for continuing to join us every week. It makes it a whole lot of fun to see all these familiar names. We love it.
This is Deborah's first time on our live. So welcome, Deborah.
Welcome, Deborah. We appreciate you joining. And as I mentioned, my name is Trisha. So hopefully you'll be joining us each week and you can chat with us. And that was Brian. Angela.
We'll say hi to one more.
One more, Jennifer from Missouri, but we appreciate you all for joining us. So as I mentioned, we are going to be making this adorable little Corky wallet, super cute. I've got the finished measurements. It will be finished 5 inches by 3.5 inches. It's very simple. It's a quick sew, but it's super handy. You've got a little pocket here and a pocket on the inside, enough for a debit card. So very sweet, great gift. Going to be a whole lot of fun to sew this. Before we get onto the project, we have an upcoming event, and if you know what it is, if you want to put it in the comment. So we are very excited. We have an upcoming event for Sew Creative Live, so we're going to play a little video for you, and hopefully it gets you just as excited as we are, and it's going to be going on from July 10th through the 14th. So mark your calendars, and we're going to go ahead and play that video. Brian, you want to pull that up?
Free Baby Lock Triumph Serger.
That's right. We're giving away another $7,500 serger.
But that's not the only thing we're giving away.
Nope. We're also giving away a semi-industrial machine,
2 hydraulic sewing chairs,
2 portable quilting frames,
quilt design software,
light stations,
Orafill thread,
a travel steamer,
an Aliso iron,
cutting tools and rulers,
gift cards, and so much more.
over $28,000 worth of free sewing supplies, to be exact.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff. So Trisha, I feel like Alex will have a field day with this when she's editing it.
For a moment like this, some people wait a lifetime.
How does one enter?
Join us July 10th through the 14th on YouTube, Facebook, sewingpartsonline.com, and tune in to Sew Creative Live, Christmas in July.
While watching, keep your eyes out for the secret summer word. It may pop up on the screen, or you might even have to solve a riddle in the comments. Either way, when you find the word, put it in the chat. You are entered to win the next giveaway.
It's easy as that.
That's right. At the end of each segment, we'll pick a winner.
For more information, visit www.sewingpartsonline.com/Sew Creative Live.
Happy sewing, everybody.
Who's impressed by Alex's editing skills? She had so much fun doing that. We were laughing this morning when we saw that. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you are excited about the event. I had seen in the comments so many giveaways. I know, we just piled everything up and we couldn't even get everything in there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, why don't we go ahead and get on with our little project here. So why don't we start with what you're going to be needing. The pattern calls for just the cork fabric, and then also, actually it just says the cork fabric. So I used the natural cork fabric. This one is by Eversewn, but anyone will work. This is a polyurethane backed cork, and you get a lot with it. So you could make a whole lot of wallets with this. And I think we put that link on our Facebook group. So if you're wanting to do this project later, you're more than welcome to grab one of the patterns and the cork and make your own and follow along with this tutorial. For the pattern, we're going to be cutting out 2 outside pieces, me and my little sticky notes, right? We've got 2 outside pieces that are going to be 5 inches by 8 1/4. I'm going to set these this way. They're easy to grab. Then we've got an inside pocket. We're just going to be cutting one of those. That is 3 3/4 by 2 1/2. I don't know why I'm taking that off. There we go. And then we've got an outside pocket, which is one of these. We're going to do 3 1/4 by 5, and these are inches. And then we have a small little facing that is 5 inches by 1/2 inch. There are a few tools that will make your life easier. They're not necessarily like mandatory. You could make this wallet without it, but I did find that they really helped me. So this one, I did use a basting tape. This is a water-soluble basting tape. It's a very narrow one because the seam allowance here is very narrow, so you don't want sticky stuff on the inside of your wallet. But this is, I believe, 1/4 inch thick, and I'd already opened it. There we go. We have that on our website as well. If you don't have any basting tape, you have a junk drawer, right? Painter's tape. This worked great, and I actually used it in combination in certain areas, and I'll show you that when we get started. You're going to want a marking tool, and any marking tool will work. I'm going to try to use either the white and the blue just so it shows up as we go through the tutorial, but you just need a marking tool. A needle. So for this particular one, I did use a universal needle and I made it through just fine. However, in my handy dandy Schmetz ABC pocket guide for cork material, it says to use the Microtex. So I did swap out my needle for the Microtex, there we go, size 14. And we'll see how that goes for this time around. And really, we only have a couple more things. Just a little ruler. This one I used for cutting out the bigger pieces. Any ruler will do. This one is 12 inches by 6.5 inches. It's a great size just to use for many projects. And then I have my handy dandy little Omni Grid ruler. This one is 1 by 6, and this one does come in really handy. You don't have to have a mat and a rotary cutter. However, it does make all of the lines much more straight and just gives you better results. But you could do it with scissors if you didn't have this available. So I think that covers about what we need, other than my little handy dandy everyday tools, my bent tweezers, and my little snips. This machine may look a little bit different than what you're used to seeing, right? We usually have that TL series with the Juki. Today I'm going to be sewing on a Baby Lock. This is the Baby Lock Bloom. It's a combination sewing and embroidery machine. It's a fantastic little machine. I hadn't been sewing on it in a while, so I decided today's the day to sew on this little Baby Lock. So I hope that you enjoy watching it, and it also has some additional settings that are nice to use. So the wallet does say to use a triple stitch. So if you're unfamiliar with the triple stitch, it's a great reinforcement stitch. If you, Brian, would you mind swapping to the sewing machine camera? I'll see if we can show this.
Yes, I just wanted to let you know there is a question from a little while back if you want to answer it really quickly.
Will we have a kit? A kit for what?
For the Corky wallet.
For the Corky wallet. No, we don't have any kits, but we will have links posted to the materials that you'll need to make this particular project. Sorry, Norma. Little spacey. Okay, so if we bring this up, let me give it just a second to clear. Get it clear. Usually has a little delay, but you can kind of see it even with it being blurry. This top row of stitches is just a single stitch, where this row here is a triple stitch. So that's going to be thicker, it's more reinforced, and when you're starting, it automatically does a back stitch for you, so you don't even have to worry about doing a back stitch. That is the other reason why I swapped over to the Baby Lock Bloom, because this machine has that option to select a triple stitch, whereas the other machine that I was using, that is a straight stitch machine, and it just has the single stitch. I did make one of these at home using the faux leather. If you were tuning into our previous show, I had mentioned that don't do it with faux leather. It's not intended to be used that way. I did make it through, but yeah. Anyway, my Juki did make it through all the layers, but it was a little rough. So I want to use the Baby Lock, and it did a great job getting through all the layers of the cork. So I will show you here. You can see that there's a little bit of thickness in certain areas, but on the most part, everything's really nice and neat. And does that look clear on your end, Brian? The
picture is a little pixelated, but I think it's the best we're going to get.
All right. Well, I hope that works throughout the show. So, all right. Well, now that we have those all set up, we're going to get started. Let me just put this here. I'm going to go with the directions. Okay, we're going to grab our 2 pieces of the outside fabric. So that's the first step here. Move that. And let's see, do we want the other camera? Yeah, I think, Brian, if you want to go ahead and put that on, just so they could see what I'm doing here, I'm going to put the outsides wrong sides together. So you're going to see the pretty sides on both sides. Just like that. We're going to take our Wonder Clips and we're going to clip around the outside here. So the Wonder Clips do come in really handy. If you didn't have them, it may make it a little bit difficult. It doesn't mention it in the pattern, and I apologize that I didn't have those listed prior to the show. I just grabbed what the materials were on the pattern, so these are handy dandy. One thing to note about cork fabric, once you puncture the fabric with your needle, it doesn't self-heal. So say you made a mistake, you're going to want to, you just want to make sure that you're doing it right the first time. Also, if you're using a longer stitch length, it's going to be further apart. If your stitches are too close together, it can perforate the fabric and it actually tears more easily. So I'm going to bump up my stitch length for this project up to a 3. So we won't have that issue. Okay, so now that that's set, I will move forward with the next step. We're going to grab the little piece, it's called the inside pocket. That one is the 3 3/4 by the 2 1/2. And we're going to use that next. We're going to grab our little ruler here. If I can pick it up. There we go. Going to grab our ruler and we're going to measure up from the bottom 2 1/2 inches. I'm going to mark it in a couple of places. I'm going to scooch that just a smidge. 2 1/2. Okay. Now that that is done, we're going to switch our stitch to that triple stitch. So just take a peek at my needle. When I switch on this machine to the triple stitch, which is going to be 0.5, my needle goes to the left. Now this is really nice for me because the foot that I'm using today has a little mark in the center and gives me approximately an 1/8 inch little seam allowance. So I'm going to pop this off here so you can see what I'll be following. Right here is where my needle is going to come down on the left, and I'm going to be following this guide here. You could also use a non-stick foot. That works well with this type of material. And you can also use an edge stitch foot where you would be able to have a perfect edge stitch. So there's a couple of different feet that you could use to give you really good results for this, but I'm just going to stick with my regular general purpose foot and use that marking as my guide. Another thing that I would recommend when you first start using this particular material, I would just take a peek at your machine, figure out your setting, and then grab a piece of scrap cork and go ahead and give it just a little test run. Make sure you don't need to change your needle or change your thread, and that way you won't have any headache later. I'm just using a cotton thread today, and as I mentioned, I am using the Microtex needle in the size 14. So, Brian, if there are any questions, just let me know and I will try to answer them. My eyes are on the machine.
We do have something that I want to point out.
What's
if
that?
You want to check that one.
I just want to say thanks to all the information videos. It has improved my sewing game. Corrine, that's awesome. Thank you. We appreciate you tuning in. I'm glad they're helping. That makes me really happy. By any chance, did you know that By Annie has 1/8 basting tape? Ooh, I don't think I did know that there was an 1/8 inch. That actually would be really handy for this project as well. Thank you for that. I'll double check and see if we can get an 1/8 inch. We might have it already. I've used this Singer option before, and it's a water soluble one. Not that I do need to get this wet, but it's one that I've used and I really liked it. It was stickier than a different brand that I had used in the past. So, okay. Now that we have all of our settings done, we've got our foot ready, everything's in place. I'm going to take my 2 pieces of the outside fabric. Again, they're wrong sides together, and I've marked up 2.5 inches. I'm going to find the center of my inside here. I'm going to find the center. There we go. 3 3/4. There we go. Let me make sure I'm getting that correct. Okay. And we're gonna pop that on there. I think I even got that wrong. We're just gonna eyeball it. We're gonna make sure it's centered. We're gonna line it up with that mark that we did. Now, it's a little hard to see on the cork since it's cork on cork, but we're going to center that and line the bottom of the inside pocket up with the mark that we made. Now, this is where the basting tape comes in really handy. I'm going to line the back of this piece on the left side, the bottom, and on the right side, leaving the top open. So let's grab a couple pieces here. You don't need a lot. It's just enough to keep it from scooching around on you. And actually, I'm just going to go ahead and do the bottom instead, and then I'm going to use the painter's tape to hold it in place as well. If you've never used basting tape, you have a sticky side when you take it off the roll, and you can place it down, and then you just kind of press it, gets it good and adhered, and then you can just take that off. It's a little sticker, and then we can place it where it needs to go. So it works very, very well. So we'll press that a little bit, and then we're going to get a little bit of our painter's tape, and you just need just a small piece. Please tell me everybody has a roll of this in their junk drawer, right? Did you have that drawer that carries everything, has every pen that you can imagine, and flashlights and painter's tape, all that stuff? Okay, so now we're going to sew all the way on this side, the bottom, and the left side. So I'm going to start on this side, and again, my needle is in left position, and I am going to line up the edge of my pocket with that little center mark. And with it being the triple stitch, I don't have to reverse stitch because it's built into the stitch itself. So I'm going to drop my needle. I'm going to rotate my hand wheel towards me because we never want to rotate our hand wheel backwards. And then we're going to sew all the way down and then pivot when we get close. And I'm going to put a little mark here so you can see where I'm pivoting.
Excuse me.
We'll go from there. You okay, Brian?
Yeah. I'm having a coughing attack over here.
Those darn allergies, right? All right. I see a few people saying that they have multiple drawers like that. Okay, I'm glad to hear that. So let's go ahead and start stitching here. Now the triple stitch does take a little bit longer just because it has to go back and forth several times. The other thing I noticed when I was sewing the first wallet, it tends to shift a little bit. But I'm already noticing in this very short amount of time that this Microtex needle is doing better than the universal needle. Before I was kind of having to guide the fabric, and now the machine's doing all the work. So we are looking good. So just little changes can make such a difference. It would be kind of fun to have a contrasting color cork because the two same colors on there, it's a little difficult to see as you're sewing here. Normally I'd be getting my face right up there, but I don't want to be in the way of the camera, so it might be a little bit wonky, but you can get a really nice edge. This is where an edge stitch foot would come in really handy. You would be able to line up the guide right against the inside pocket and then move your needle over a little bit and you get a nice straight stitch. That one kind of, let's get that one out of the way, huh? There we go. Do that. There we are. And I used a contrasting thread, so this time I think we can see it a little bit better. I know in the past I've used the wrong color thread and it's kind of hard to see. So you can see that the fabric tends to shift just a little bit, but we can make it work. Okay, so there we go. We'll go ahead and cut that thread. See how nice it didn't shift around on us? And we can take this off now. There we go. And this edge, or the edge stitch foot, would prevent me from doing that. We get nice and even. Does anybody have a favorite presser foot that you absolutely love? I'm a big fan of the edge stitch foot. Okay, so now we've got that first step done. Let's see what we have to do next. Okay, set that one aside. We're going to take our outside pocket. We're going to scooch that up there for just a moment. We're going to take our outside pocket, which is the 3 1/4 by 5 inch. And we're also going to take our facing, which is the 5 inch by 1/2 inch. We're going to sew these together as well. So this, fumble fingers, there we go. So this is where we're going to use the basting tape to attach it. It's going to be right side of fabric, and the facing is going to be the right side of fabric too. So we're just going to place that on, and then we are going to sew along each side of the facing. So let's grab our basting tape. One little row is sufficient. You can just pop that on. I also love basting tape for installing zippers, so it's really nice to have in your sewing arsenal. Oh, I see Only Real Fan says the blind hem foot. That is a great foot. The blind hem foot's really nice too because you can actually use it as sort of an edge stitch foot if you didn't have an edge stitch foot. As long as you're able to move your needle and it bypasses that little hump in the guide, you can use it for many applications. I love when you can use a presser foot for multiple reasons. It's always great. All right, so now that's staying in place for us. We are going to do the stitching right along the side. So let's take a look. Drop that down and follow that little guide on this foot. Many feet have that little guide. If you don't, there might be something that we have available that would help you with this application. It still scooches just a little bit, even though I did change the needle. I think using a non-stick foot would be a great application because the non-stick foot is great if you have kind of a tough fabric like a vinyl or faux leather. So I have a feeling it would work really well with the cork also. I'll have to try that next time around. So we've got one side, now we'll just do the other. And then we'll trim it up. What else is everybody working on? Do we have some works in progress? I was really hoping to quilt my quilt, but I've not done that yet. I haven't been behind my machine much lately, unfortunately. Life's been busy.
Deb and I might be making, what are they called? What are the pot holders? Not pot holders. Full cozy.
Oh, Oh yeah, we're doing the bowl cozy for one of the social circles. You'll
We're,
both have to follow along.
We might do them this Friday because Deb makes those all the time, so she knows how to make them. She's going to teach me how to make them.
That's awesome. Deb, I expect pictures. All right, let's trim this up. There we go. Okay, so now we've done the outside pocket and the facing. We can bring our other piece back. And this time around, we're going to do a few different markings. So we can get rid of our wonder clips. Got several that we have to do here. So the first one that we're going to do is measure from the bottom up 2 inches. And get my handy dandy little ruler. And we'll mark it a couple of places. And I really like how quick and easy these come together. They're really fun. The next one that I want to make is a zipped wallet. Those are fun too. Okay, so we've got that. And now I'm going to switch to a pen so you can see where I'm marking. But we're going to, on the bottom, we're going to go from the corner up 1.5 inches and mark both of those up 1.5 inches. And then at the top, we're going to mark down 1.5 inches. So now we need the music. Do, 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 do. Mark all of these. But this little ruler, I absolutely love this thing. So handy. I use it a lot more than I thought I would originally. Okay. One more. And then we also need to find the centers of each end. So these are 5 inches. So we're going to do 2.5 inches. I don't know why I keep flipping that. There we go. There we go. So 2.5 inches. And usually I'm a little bit more careful with my marks, but I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. So we're doing 2.5. Okay. So now what we're going to be doing is marking from here to here and here to here. You can mark it if you feel more comfortable, but I'm just going to line it up with my ruler and use my rotary cutter to cut it. If you didn't have a rotary cutter, then you can go ahead and draw the line and then carefully cut it with your scissors. You're going to do that for both sides, so we'll flip it over and then cut right here and cut right here. And that'll give us that little envelope V style, right? So we're just going to take our little baby ruler again and line it up from center point to that side mark. Do the same thing, rotate here. Get that done. So who's tuned into every single social circle? I'm excited. I know we've got a few people. We've got a few. Thanks, Brian. We appreciate you.
I produce it, so I better turn it into every episode.
You weren't here last week.
But I tuned in last week from my phone.
That is true. I thought I had you there for a second. That's kind of fun that you got to watch.
Yeah, I sat there in the waiting room at school and watched it, and it was thoroughly entertaining because I waited for like an hour and a half to see my counselor.
Aw, I'm very glad that you enjoyed it, Brian. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is actually put some basting tape in here because I found that this is super helpful when doing this next part. So let's check this one. So now that we've done that, we've trimmed the edges. This looks a little bit confusing at first, but we are going to mark 1 inch from this point coming this way and 1 inch from this point coming this way. And then I put a little dot 1/8 of an inch in and that's where my needle's going to start. So all we're doing is making a little V. We're sewing a little V. So let's mark that again. We'll do an inch up, and then we will get our basting tape and hold that down for us. Measuring 1 inch. Roll up those sleeves, right? Actually, I'm going to use the painter's tape instead. I think that'll work really well. I tried the basting tape before. This will just kind of, whoops, hold this in place. And I don't even think I need it on both sides, but we're going to. It's amazing what just a little bit of holding does. Makes it so, you just get a lot better results if it's not shifting around on you. Okay, so let's go ahead and start at that 1 inch mark and drop our needle. Let's scooch that. Get my mark in there, and we're going to pivot 1/8 inch away, right there at the point. So let's sew down. Yeah, the first time I didn't do that and it shifted a little bit. So already, I think I need one more stitch. There we go. And then let's sew up to that point. Okay, we don't have to backstitch, so we can just cut our thread. That's what we should have so far. Now we can remove our tape. And let's see here. Is anybody sewing along with me today? We just watching and going to do it later?
I think I'm definitely going to do it.
It's cute. My husband finally had to replace his wallet after many, many years of using the same wallet. It fell apart. I'm like, maybe I can convince him to use this.
It would be fun to see if you could embroider them first.
Ooh, that could be a challenge. That would be fun. That would be a case where we could use some sticky back, place it on there, maybe do our name or something. Could be a fun little key fob.
Yeah.
Who has ideas? What should we make? All right.
For everybody in the comments saying that they're going to watch it later and they're going to do it, we would love to see your wallets on our private community page on Facebook.
Yes, please. And I am interested on different colors of cork too, because there's a lot of different ones available. It could be really fun to kind of mix it up with a different color inside pocket, or, you know, I don't know.
Somebody in the comments said that they found rainbow paisley cork yesterday.
Ooh, that sounds very pretty. Yeah, pictures, guys, definitely pictures. Okay, so now we have that little piece sewn. Let me just make sure that I'm getting this correct. Yes, okay. We're going to take this main piece, make sure that your pocket, the open part, is facing up, and then we're going to grab this other piece that we put together. We're going to turn this so the right side goes down, and we're going to match it up to this line, the top of this. We're not sewing this at this point. All we're doing is matching it up on that line, and we're going to take a couple of clips and hold it in place. Right there. Okay, so we should be at this point now. We're going to do a little flip. And this is when we are going to sew here. We're going to come from this little point up until the spot that we started previously, and do the exact same thing on the other side. Now this time I am going to use the basting tape because that will be really, really helpful. And I love that there is an 1/8 inch option. So I'm going to have to check that out. You know what? I'll line that back up. I'm going to do this instead. I think that'll be easier. Work smarter, not harder, right? Little piece. get right to the edge so there won't be any sticky stuff on the inside. Well, just a little bit, but okay. So we'll do that again. Remove this. Can you see how this is super helpful? And then once again, we'll line that up with the little line we made before. Give it a nice little press. And then put our Wonder Clips back on. There, that's going to make it really easy. It's not going to shift on us. So let's start on this side and sew down the side. I like this triple stitch. It's nice and prominent. If you had do you like a contrasting color or do you like using something in a similar color? What's your preference, Brian?
It depends, honestly, on what the background color is. So, like, when I was at the museum yesterday, I was noticing that I really liked when there was a navy blue background on the quilt and the quilter used red thread.
Oh,
so it was like super contrasting.
Nice
but then there's
contrast.
times where I don't like it. So I think it just depends on what the vibe or the feeling of the quilt or the project that I'm working on is. And I make that decision based on that.
I am really excited for Shelly Tobish's segment on So Creative Live, where she's going to be talking about how to choose fabric and everything.
Yes.
I think there's a real talent to it. So super excited for her segment. You guys will have to make sure that you tune in. All right, once again, I'm going to line up where I started before, get that little guide on my foot lined up with the edge of this main piece, and we'll go to town. See how quick this is coming together? It's such a fun little quick project.
You know, a lot of people are asking about, since I mentioned embroidering it, people are asking how well do you think it would work? I don't think we know the answer to that yet, but it seems like we're going to have to do some research, try it out, see if we can monogram our wallets and embroider them, and then report back, just let everybody know.
Honestly, I think it's going to be quite easy, because if you get to this point, I'll show you here when we start folding it, but if you get to this point, you're only on one layer, and or two layers, but we've embroidered on that webbing, which is really, really thick, and it comes out beautiful. So I think it's a nice challenge for us. It's going to be cool.
And if it fails miserably, that's
we'll let
okay.
you know. Then we know, right? But I think it would be really cool. All right. So now we are going to just be folding it and putting it together. So normally you would just fold it like this, right? And then we're going to flip this down. This is another spot that I found that the basting tape is super helpful, because notice if I fold this and then when I fold this down, you get this little overlap, right? Or little edge showing, which personally, I'm not a fan of. I like it where it comes together and it's nice and even, right? So before I flip it here and fold everything up, I am going to use my basting tape to hold these two pieces together. And then when we sew, it'll look nice and even and beautiful. So and the other way could be a design element, right? It's not the end of the world, but this is just a personal preference. And since I have the basting tape, I am going to use it. But we have the bowl cozies on our list of projects to do, right, Brian? Because I really want to make those too.
I believe we do. And if we don't currently have it confirmed, we're definitely going to do it when we do our next round of social circles. But do you want to talk about that for a second?
Yes. So we are going to take a small break from the social circle only because we do have So Creative Live coming up. So as we had mentioned, So Creative Live is July 10th through the 14th. So we only have next week to continue to get ready. And so we won't be doing next week. The following week, we will be doing So Creative Live. So make sure you tune into that. And that will be a whole lot of fun. The following week, I would absolutely love to pop on, but I know that I lose my voice. So this is going to be our longest event. It's 5 days. And so there is a very good chance that I won't have my voice by the time we're done. So if I do, we'll pop on, we'll let you know, we'll post everywhere that we are doing it. But as of right now, it would be the week after that. And then I think we are having Trisha Camacho possibly, which if you've watched any of our So Creative Live, she's joined us, and she also did our first episode of the So Inspired podcast. So she's a whole lot of fun. And hopefully you can pop on and learn from her because she's amazing.
Yeah, so tentatively, we're taking a 2-week break after this episode, possibly a 3-week break. Just depends on how we're feeling after So Creative Live. And then we will for sure be back on July 26th, I believe. I emailed her this morning to make sure. Yeah, July 26th, we're making a costume glove tentatively because she's a costume and pattern designer. So we're going to have her come on and do like a fashion glove.
Very cool. That's going to be perfect too for getting, ready for Halloween and everything. I know it's a little ways away, but it creeps up on you really, really quickly. So great plan. So hopefully we can all tune into that. Okay, so now I've got that basting tape on there. It's not shifting around. We're going to do the little fold. So it looks kind of funky, right? We've got this little point here that has that small opening that's sewn on the side. And then you've got your inside pocket here and then the big pocket here. So we're just going to flip this up, fold it right on that line. Get it nice and tight on there. Match it up to the edges. And then do a little fold to test it out. We're looking good. Okay, so we'll take our Wonder Clips and see. I see Sir Robin the Chicken saying costume, ears perk up. Did somebody say cosplay? Cosplay costumes are amazing. I love seeing all the creative costumes that people make. It's crazy. Do you do cosplay costumes?
I know that
Robert?
There's a technique that cosplayers use where they will I believe that they wrap themselves in like saran wrap to protect their skin, and then they wrap their entire body in duct tape.
Oh my goodness.
Like create like a mummy costume almost. Not their whole body, but like, their trunk. And then they cut it and they use that as like a dress form almost to make their costumes on so that it fits exactly to their body. It's wild.
Well, that is actually really funny because there's several videos where you can make your own mannequin. So that's essentially what you're talking about, right? Yeah, because you can wrap yourself and then do duct tape over and over, and then you cut it in the back, and then you stuff it, and then you can mount it on like a pole and make your own mannequin so it's exactly to your size. So yeah, I like that. That'd be a lot of work and a lot of heat. A lot of heat. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to sew all the way around here. So if you weren't using the triple stitch, you're going to want to make sure that you back stitch here where you'll be opening it and it'll have a lot of strain. Just make sure that you put an extra stitch there. So we're going to start on the edge. And depending on your machine, it may be a little bit tough for it to go through multiple layers because at this point we are doing 4 layers of cork. 5 layers of cork. There we go. But with your needle change and everything, you should be just fine. But just know you might have to give it just a little bit of a push to get that started. Oh yeah, that needle does fine. Cool. So again, this is a Microtex needle size 14. It definitely is doing better than the universal needle did. Maybe I'll start doing that from now on, using different needles. That way we have some really good feedback on whether or not it works better. Does anybody have a favorite brand of needles? I am definitely a Schmetz girl. I love Schmetz needles. I also like the Classe. I don't even know if I say that right, Classe.
I just like Rhonda from Schmetz, so
she's amazing. She's also joined us for So Creative Live several times, and she's awesome. She has so much good information. If you have any questions about needles, make sure to watch our replay on our YouTube and from So Creative Live. She does such an awesome job.
She's the needle queen.
Yeah. And actually, that's what I was talking about, my handy dandy little ABC pocket guide. She references that. This book is so awesome. It has so much great information about different types of needles, what type of fabric to use with certain types of needles. It's a really good resource. Oh, Chris says you uses organ needles most. Awesome. That's a great brand too. We carry a lot of organ needles. I just have really good results with the Schmetz needles, so I don't venture away from them.
If it
Very
ain't broke, don't fix it.
often. What's that?
Said if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right. We're going to pivot here up at the point. Move our way down. Do we have any questions, Brian?
Tammy was asking denim needle.
A denim needle would also be a good option to try. I was going to gather the leather needle, the denim needle, and the Microtex, just in case this one didn't work very well. But the Microtex is working really well. But that would definitely be a good option to try. Just remember that if using a 14, you're doing a larger hole. You're piercing a larger hole here. So I bumped up that stitch length to a 3. Oh, when did that happen? I wasn't paying attention. I must have clicked something, but I'm actually doing it at a 2.5. So these are pretty close together, but you should do a 3 just so it doesn't perforate the fabric versus having a nice longer stitch. I'm trying to think when I hit that button. That's all right. Getting close to the end. See how fun this project is? Gonna get almost there. And then you can see that it's back stitching every time, so you don't have to even worry about back stitching, like I said. So up to the end. There we go. So now we've done all the sewing. We can trim little pieces of thread here. Just like that. And last but not least, you just flip this over right to the top, pull it down, kind of pinch it a little bit, put it in that little spot, make an envelope, pinch a little harder. What I did with this one, after I was done, I took my Wonder Clips and just clipped right on the edge. It kind of squeezes it in, helps it form really well. Just like that, all the way across. And there you go. You have an adorable little wallet. Has a cute little design element here. And then you have your inside pocket. Can you see that? There we go. You have your inside pocket that will hold your card. Fun, right?
I love it, Trisha.
Thanks, Brian. Very cute. So
I think that's the quickest project we've ever made.
it is. But you know, it's nice to have some of those where you have just a really quick sew, something that's easy and really nice. How fun.
Question.
What's the difference between denim, jeans, and leather? So the actual tip of the needle is slightly different and it penetrates the fabric in a different way. Also, I can't remember the exact one, but the shaft itself, there's
Leather.
What's that? The leather?
It's the leather, yeah.
It has a larger little shaft in there, so the thread goes into it where you're not having the friction. It's kind of encased within the shaft. So there's just different parts of the needle that vary slightly to help you get better results. And when I say the shaft of the needle here, if you want to switch to the other camera, Brian, I can show her what I mean here. In this one, it's actually the blade. So there's like a groove in there where the thread comes down, kind of sits in there, so you don't have as much friction.
It's really noticeable on the leather needle. It looks like a big cutout almost.
Yeah. It's amazing what the right needle can do for you. You don't really think it's like, oh, I'm going to just do this really quick. You know, it's a fast project. I don't need to switch the needle. It'll be fine. And then you have a whole lot of headache or skip stitches or you're breaking thread. You know, you're having all those issues and you switch your needle and it's like, ta-da!
Somebody said this is a good project for presents to put gift cards in. If you're going to give a gift card to somebody.
That's a great idea. See, this is why we have you guys around.
It is a fantastic idea because sometimes giving gift cards feels impersonal. So it's like you're making a product. It's like the most personal and they get a gift card.
And especially if you do go ahead and embroider like a monogram their letter to their name,
cool.
That's really cute. And you could do it when we were talking about the monogramming, you could do it when it was all opened up, but you would still be able to do it at this point too. So if we took like this machine and did like a sticky back stabilizer, we could rip the little top part of it off, center it, figure out what our letter is, and we can put it right here, make sure it's facing the right direction, and then we can flip it this way. The other thing, you could even hide it easily. That would work really well too. So remember when we did the basting tape here to kind of hold it in place? We could kind of hold the one piece back, put it on the sticky stabilizer, monogram it, and then flip the other one back in place and then stitch. So then you wouldn't see the stitches on the inside. You would just see it on the outside. Got the wheels turning. I think that would be really, really cute. And look how much cork we have. We can make a bunch of these, Brian.
Everybody at Sewing Parts Online is getting Corky wallets.
You get a wallet. You get a wallet.
Okay, I think that gives us enough time for anybody that joined late. Do we want to play one more video?
I think so. Sounds good.
All right, guys. So those of you who have been here the whole time, you know we've been talking about Christmas in July. But anybody that joined late, we're going to play the commercial for you as our way of signing off today, okay?
Yes, and thank you so much for joining us. And as I said, we'll take a little break from the social circle, but we enjoy having you guys, and we hope to see you on our Facebook, and we will see you next time we come back.
Yes, we'll see you in a few weeks.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So, would you like a chance to win thousands of dollars worth of free sewing supplies? Join us for Sew Creative Live, Christmas in July. 5 super fun days with bucket loads of sewing, quilting, and embroidery machine demos by dozens of expert educators, crafting and sewing projects, and unbeatable special event discounts. Whether you're just starting your sewing journey or you're a sewing pro, we'll have something for you. Over $25,000 worth of machines, sewing furniture, and sewing supplies will be given away during this virtual sewing event. Join us July 10th through the 14th. Each morning we'll begin live streaming at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can join us from our website, sewingpartsonline.com, our YouTube, or our Facebook. This event is designed to bring you great deals and lots of laughs. Bump up your sewing skills, all from the comforts of your home.